In 1838, Samuel Morse developed a code system of dots and dashes that would forever change communication. The Morse code, as it came to be known, became the first common methods of transcontinental communication, led the way to the other communication systems, and is still used by the military today. Samuel Finley Breese Morse was born on April 27, 1791 in Charlestown, Massachusetts. He was an avid painter and an inventor. He also ran for the mayor of New York. Samuel Morse and Leonard Gale began thinking about a communication system in 1832 when they heard about the new invention of the electromagnet. The electromagnet is a large magnet that sends electric signals to the wire wrapped around it. Other inventors had tried to make a telegraph system in the late 1700s, but none of them had succeeded in sending a message very far. Samuel Morse's first attempts weren't very successful, but after several tries, he was able to transmit signals a very short distance. Morse had only been using one cell of battery, or cup as it was called back then. Gale recommended a battery of 20 cells. Also, Gale found that Morse's magnet was weak due to a few turns around the core. With the magnet wound with over 100 turns in the 20-cell battery, 39 volts. The original Morse apparatus now worked through ever-increasing lengths of wire strung around the room. Finally, 10 miles of wire wound on reels was secure, and the instruments worked perfectly. This is according to Lewis Coe, who wrote the book called The Telegraph. The first successful invention of the telegraph was created around the year 1835. In 1837, Samuel Morse was devoting all of his time to his telegraph invention. Samuel Morse found new inventors to partner with him on his machine. Leonard Gale helped with finding more powerful magnets for his telegraph machines, and Alfred Vail gave knowledge in iron and metals, as his family had an ironworks shop. In 1838, Samuel Morse and Vail had developed the system of dots and dashes that would come to be known as Morse code. The system of dots and dashes was translated to the sound that was easy to transport using the telegraph. This is an example of Morse code sounding like when it is transmitted on a telegraph, as demonstrated by this man. And this is what it sounded like on a military ship. This is them spelling Morse. After years of working to spread the telegraph to different areas, Morse got approval from the United States Congress to build a telegraph line from Baltimore, Maryland to Washington, D.C. On May 1844, a message was sent saying, "What hath God wrought?" Wrought means brought about or caused. So they were marveling at the amazing technology they had invented. Interested in the telegraph, and Morse code started to spread, and in 1842, Congress voted to spend $30,000 to build an experimental line between Washington and Baltimore. This was only the start, as soon they would build a line across North America. In 1844, Samuel Morse's invention was introduced to the public, and it would change communication in the future. Within the next few years, Samuel Morse got his business partners installed telegraph lines to many East Coast cities. These lines were essential to send telegrams because the government wasn't in charge of the telegraph lines or the machines. It was up to the individual businesses to put in the telegraph lines. By 1856, there were 30 to 40 other telegraph companies competing to put the lines in. In 1861, the first American transcontinental telegraph line was put into place, connecting the East Coast to the West Coast. According to the website New Atlas, the telegraph cost $7.10 per 10 words, or about $210 our money. Transmitted messages got cheaper as time passed. At first, people could only send short-term messages, and then they were able to send long-term messages as time passed. After Morse sent the message, people began to see what it meant. In 1861, the Civil War started. During the Civil War, the telegraph is estimated to have sent around 6 million messages from the Union Army to other soldiers and their families. Several commanders used the telegraph to send messages to other commanders or officers for reinforcements or a checkup to see how they were doing. Samuel Morse's invention of the telegraph and its development of Morse code helped many people by making it so they could send messages a long distance in a quick and effective manner. As time passed, the telegraph was used less as people began to invent other things using electricity, such as phones, computers, TVs, and the internet, all of which send messages. While the telegraph is no longer used as a method of communication, Morse code continues to be an effective and important mode of communication in the military. The military can send secret messages through Morse code using both a radio and using lights. Retired Senior Chief Electronics Technician Kevin Courtwright said that the Navy uses Morse code to transmit messages using a radio, but they have signalmen who stand on the signal bridge of a ship and uses a powerful light to transmit messages. On the signal bridge, the signalman has a 360-degree view of the ocean and can transmit messages a long way to other ships. In this way, Morse code can be sent silently so the messages can't be overheard by an enemy ship. 80 years after its invention, Morse code continues to be used to communicate important messages in the military and Navy and Army. Samuel Morse's invention continues to prove its importance as a form of communication.